guys, how are you? It's been a little while since I've been to YouTube. Maybe some of you know, if you follow my work, that I started a new podcast. And so before I get to the message today that I want to talk about, which is making a decision to change your life, I want to talk about the podcast and just kind of do some housekeeping to get everybody caught up on where you can find me, because I've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of questions about learning more about my work. And so I know this is a really good place to disseminate information. So first of all, I have a new podcast. There are 3 episodes already out. I'm so excited about it. Podcasting is such a good way to get information to people because you can put it on in your car, you can put it on in your earbuds while you're walking through the grocery store, you can stick your phone next to your head while you're laying in bed at night and just listen to a podcast. I'm a huge podcast fan. I have many dreams of being on podcasts and being interviewed to carry this message of chronic pain recovery. So I'm always working hard at getting those opportunities. But in the meantime, I have my own podcast. It is called The Cure for Chronic Pain with Nicole Sachs, LCSW, exactly like this YouTube channel. And it is available on Apple Podcasts and anywhere you get your podcasts. I know for sure it's available also on Spotify and on Audio Boom, and they usually connect with other networks. So if you happen to listen on Apple Podcasts also, please, you probably hear this a lot, please rate and review it, because apparently, so I am told, that actually really matters in getting the podcast listed in order for people to hear it. And if anyone knows me, you know my primary purpose is to bring this message of healing, because it is killing me how many people are suffering in chronic pain and not realizing that they have a choice. So, check out my podcast, and also, if you also don't know about it, I have a closed Facebook group. It is called JOURNALSPEAK with Nicole Sachs, LCSW. Search it on Facebook. Ask to join. I am the moderator. I can let you in the group. It's a closed group, and anyone who is talking to each other and sharing and supporting each other in that group, it is totally private. It will not appear on your Facebook feed. There is no one in your family that's going to see that. It's all people that are in the group that can see it. So there's that available to you. And then, of course, this YouTube channel, my website, which is thecureforchronicpain.com, and my book on Amazon, which is The Meaning of Truth. So just I wanted to put it out there because I've been getting a lot of inquiries. Where can I learn more about your work? So if you happen to be watching this video, that's where. So having said that, let's talk today about our topic. And what I want to talk about today is making a decision. I think that people feel really disempowered when they're hurting, and they don't realize that they can make a decision to think about things differently. Now, I have not done the Course in Miracles, but a dear friend and colleague that I know has, and I was listening to him on Instagram the other day, and he said something that really got my attention. And what he said is, when you want your life to change, you don't have to actually know how it needs to change, and you don't actually need to just, have a plan or be sure that it will happen. All you have to do is say into the universe, whatever higher power you associate with, or if you don't associate with a higher power, just say into the energy of your life and say, I'm willing to look at this differently. I thought that was a really beautiful statement. I'm willing to look at this differently. I'm willing. The word willing is such a beautiful word. It opens you to whatever else is out there that your own fear has not allowed as of yet. When we are scared, we're locked in sort of this tunnel vision of self-control. Like, I'm going to have to steer this ship. I'm going to have to make sure I know where it's going, because I'm terrified that if I make the wrong decision, I'm going to be in a terrible spot. I'm going to be in horrible pain. I'm going to be unable to work, unable to take care of my family. I totally get it. Anyone who knows me knows I have been a chronic pain patient. I do understand intimately how that feels, how that fear feels. So what I'm going to say is, today my message to you is, you have the power to say, I am willing to look at this differently. Oftentimes that power comes from desperation and surrender. I often say desperation leads to surrender, and surrender leads to truth, leads to knowing your intimate truth about what is going on with you and what you need to do about it. Oftentimes, before people get desperate enough, they're still running on self-sufficiency, and they still say, no, I've got to plan this, I've got to do this, I've got to go to this doctor's appointment, get this MRI, get this medication, go to this physical therapy. And I'm not doubting the value of any of those things. I am not against the medical model. What I'm saying is, if you find me today, if you are watching me today and you have had the tests and you have been to the therapies and it's not working for you and you're in chronic pain and you don't want to be addicted to medication, there is a different way to look at it. And you might say it sounds crazy, but I am a living, breathing, miraculous example of that it's not. Because when I was diagnosed with spondylolisthesis when I was 19 and told that it was unlikely I would have biological children, and it was unlikely that I would travel, and it was unlikely that I would be able to work unfettered and to see the world, and I've done all of those things. In fact, this past week, when the kids had a little school break, I took my daughter, who is a junior in high school, on college tour. And I was able not only to enjoy my beautiful 16-year-old daughter, who I did give birth to after having no bed rest and exercising until the day before she was born, I got to travel with her. We went to schools all up and down the coast. I walked upstairs. I carried suitcases. Nothing is wrong with me. Yes, I have a severe spinal abnormality that you can feel if you go down my spine with your finger, that you can see on MRI. It doesn't account for the pain I was in, and I live a limitless life because I have done this work. So in episode 2 of my podcast, I was talking about the role of emotions in our emotional life. And so in case you haven't heard the podcast, or podcasts are not your thing, I want to repeat one thing here that I thought was the best thing that came out of that podcast, which is when we think about, let's say, our children, if you happen to be a parent. If you're not a parent, think about a kid maybe a student, or if you're a coach, or maybe you have a niece or a nephew, or even yourself as a young person, you think, what's the most important thing that matters about that kid, right? So does it matter if they ate every food group that day, or if they finished every stitch of their homework, or if they got enough sleep? Yes, those things definitely matter, right? That's taking care of our whole body health. But I would say if you surveyed 100 parents, 100 of them would say, the most important thing to me for my child is his or her emotional health. Is she happy? Is she depressed? Are people being nice to her? Does she feel as if she is worthy of love and of respect and of success in this world? Does she feel good about herself? I don't know one parent who would say that their child's emotional health is less important than almost anything. Now, granted, obviously, if your child is physically ill, without health, we have nothing. But mental health is a huge part of our health. And so if you look at it that way, and if you understand how much when we look at others that we care for, we prioritize how they feel and how the world makes them feel and how things are for them and how it lands with them and how they see themselves, there's nothing more important, at least for me as a parent and for every parent I've ever spoken to, nothing is more important than how their kids feel about themselves. So emotional health, right? So now we look at chronic illness. Could emotions be playing a part? I'm going to tell you something. I've been doing this work for over 20 years in my own body and with thousands of people around the world. Your emotions are playing the largest role in your physical health. Larger than what you eat, larger than how you exercise, larger than whatever therapies you could possibly be involved in. And I can teach you, if you're willing, I can teach you how to open yourself up to that and how to heal. And everyone who hears me talk knows I speak with a passion. Why do I speak with a passion? Because my entire life has been informed by having this amazing discovery when I was in my 20s and learning about the work of Dr. John Sarno. And it is my purpose to carry this message. So when I want to talk today about making a decision, what I want to talk about is nobody can impose this on you. It's kind of like sobriety. It's kind of like any decision you make that requires your whole self to make it. You have to decide. Nobody can tell you, and you probably will not be convinced until you come into it in alignment with your being. So what I want to say is, why don't you open yourself to that? Like I was speaking earlier about my friend and his Instagram post. Say to the universe, I am willing to look at this differently. I am hurting. I need help. I'm willing to look at this differently. And then watch my Healing Yourself series. On this very YouTube channel, there's a free series, Healing Yourself 1 through 4. I will teach you how to do this for yourself. I have an online course on my website, and I'm not here for the hard sell. I am literally here to tell you, if you want resources, this can make you well. You can be well, but you must have the willingness to look at this differently, because this is not how you've been raised, and this is not what you've been taught. I am a child of the 80s. I was born in 1972. I'm 46 years old today. Not today. Today's not my birthday, but like in this world today. And I want to tell you that I was not raised to believe that my emotions had anything to do with my physical health. When I was in physical pain or in any sort of physical suffering, that was physical. And if I was sad or if I was scared or if I was angry, that was emotional. The two were not together. They weren't integrated. They never met. And when I learned that my repressed emotions could literally be making me physically sick, I was a bit skeptical. I mean, who wouldn't be? I was raised in a one certainty. I was explained something certainly that I believed. But then I became willing and I opened myself and I said, what if? You know, one of the things I truly believe, that as soon as I found out that it was possible, that my life wasn't going to be forever limited, that I didn't have to be on medication for life, that I didn't need a spinal surgery that would limit my mobility forever, that I didn't have to forego having biological children, when I thought it could be possible that my repressed emotions were causing my debilitating chronic back pain, I was like, if this is possible, even if it's 1% possible, I'm going to open myself to it. And when I tell you I have zero back pain for years and years and years. Now, I always tell people there's no cure for human pain. I get headaches sometimes. Sometimes I get whatever, stomach issues passing through me. They never last, because chronic pain is an epidemic of fear, and you have every right to be scared. Your pain is 100,000,000% real. You are not making it up. You are not creating it. You are awesome. All right? You're awesome. You are beautiful, and you are doing the very best with what you have been given. And so what I want to say to you today is, I have something else to give you. And if you choose to be curious and to be willing to think about this differently, you have absolutely no idea. Your life is limitless. So I can't say it any better than that. And I am glad to be back with you. I'm going to now actually work on my next podcast. My podcast drops every Friday. And so this Friday will be a new episode. Got to figure out what I'm going to talk about, but I always come up with something. And I just send you love on this beautiful day. It's actually a crappy rainy day here, but it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day because I'm not in pain. And I took my daughter to her 6th grade orientation this morning, and she was full of joy. And her friends were hysterically laughing in the car. And I just loved it. It was a really beautiful moment, and I was present for it because I don't have to worry about limiting my life in chronic pain. So I send you love today on this day for you, and I will be on the podcast on Friday and back here very soon. Okay.